John has served as director and harmony and has guest spoken many times. He is a father, professional speaker, and musician, and lover of life. John calls Lake Tahoe home. Lake Tahoe has brought him guidance, purpose, connection with great people, and grand adventures. John's latest adventure is chiropractic school, where he is learning how to connect mind, body, and spiritual healing in a new way. So let us welcome John to the platform.
Thank you, Carol. Happy Father's Day to you all. Happy summer to you all. How are you feeling? Good. It's always a joy to be here. And can we just give Annie Davidson another round? She holds down the music week in and week out and so much more, actually. But you are a blessing, Annie. And I know you sit with that question a lot, probably, as I once did and still do, is how am I going to take this grand idea, this vision that I have, and co-create and make it a reality? Well, it's a little easier to do with spirit when it's always there. And we forget that from time to time. I forget that from time to time. I had a moment a couple weeks ago where I was just kind of I was just worn out. And I didn't have all the answers, and I didn't know how I was going to make it through. And it was a sullen moment, and I felt very alone. And I just remembered that I can ask for help. And so I did. And that is prayer. And prayer is a big part of unity. And prayer is becoming more and more a bigger part of my life. And we have Juliet here as our prayer chaplain today. And if you're interested in receiving prayer chaplain calls, they call, once a month? Once a month. And they will pray with you on whatever you want to pray. It's really beautiful. Unfortunately, the last few times the prayer chaplains called me, I've been like knee deep in something that I just couldn't, I could have, but I chose, just leave me a voicemail and I will connect later with it. So there's always that option too. Father's Day. How many fathers do we have here today? All right. Okay. Leonard, good to see you. Doug, Mike. Yeah. And Scotty's in the back there. Yeah. We can tap into that father spirit. That spirit that lives in every father. I bet you can think, I'm passing around what my son created at school for Father's Day. And the first thing he put on there was funny, which is pretty true. Fathers, we have to be funny, funny looking, funny smelling. So unity principle number 3, we are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. That is a father's MO. That is what we do. We are co-creators of these grand visions that we have in our heads. And it's not always a pretty process. A father's imagination can be a powerful, potent thing. I know many things that my father has created for me in my life that have been very powerful and life-changing and life-molding. And as with all power comes great responsibility. It can be used for great wellness and great prosperity, for grand adventures, for seeing through difficult times. And it can also be used in not so aligned ways, in the ways that we want so much for our children to become, what we see in them. and what we maybe missed out on, or what our dreams were as kids, and we push our kids into things that aren't necessarily aligned because we're maybe not listening to them in the moment. We're listening to the idea that's inside of us. And so we have to use that discernment as fathers, and be very aware of what we are pushing upon our children. Fathers are core memory producing machines. I can think of, how many of you can think of a core memory that a father figure or a father in your life has instilled upon you? A moment in time that forever lives there, rent-free. That's core memories. And maybe it was a positive one, maybe it was not a positive one. But I have many, and I'm thankful to my father for that. Fathers ask questions nobody ever thinks of asking. Like, what if we, whatever. Why couldn't we, whatever. What's the worst that could happen? I find myself asking these questions sometimes. And sometimes it's at the behest of my child who wants to do something, and sometimes it's just to see if we can do it. Fathers are very imaginative in that. We co-create the most unnecessary of situations, and then we pragmatically figure out a way to get out of it. I was thinking of something this morning on the drive here. I realized that all fathers are kind of idiots. But we shouldn't mistake the idiocy of getting ourselves into situations. There's an idiocy there, but we tend to have the resources and the tools to figure our way out of it, out of idiotic situations. So, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's like we shouldn't have been there in the first place, but we figured our way out. We see if it can be done, relishing in the imagined experience of how cool it will be. And I say will be because once a father sets his mind to something, this grand vision, how am I going to make this happen? It's not a matter of not completing it or getting to the destination. It's a matter of how. And it's not always an enjoyable ride. Family vacations, anybody? Yeah, it's not always pleasurable for everybody involved, but it comes from a good place in every father. And so what drives us? What drives us as fathers? Fathers are the ultimate dreamers. And we combine that with our desire to share the experiences we've co-created. We have so much inside of us. By the time you reach fatherhood, you've experienced a lot that the world has thrown at you. You've chased ambitions, you've failed, you've succeeded, you've been in relationship, out of relationship, and you've experienced a lot of the world. And as a father, I know that I want to share that with my son. We want to share that with them. And so the question is, how do we do that? How do we take this grand beauty that is the world, and how do we take all the life lessons that we've experienced and learned as primary experiences, and how do we instill that upon them so that they don't have to suffer the same way we've suffered? And it's kind of an impossible task, unfortunately. But we still share. We can still share. Fathers are co-creators of fun. And that spirit lives in us as kids. I know if you want to know how a father is, how fatherhood is, have you ever noticed little kids, and one kid has jumped in the deep end of the pool or gone down the big scary water slide. And he's trying to convince kid number 2, his friend, to go down the slide and share the experience with him, but kid number 2 is timid and shy and apprehensive because he hasn't experienced the thrill yet. That's fatherhood. We're kid number 1, trying to get our family on board with the experience. And so we have to sometimes tap into spirit and say, how do I, show me the way. That's a perfect song for today. Show me the way. Show me how to get there. Show me how to motivate and inspire so that my kids and my family can experience this greatness that I know exists because I've experienced it myself. So yeah, we are those kids. When we were kids, all the boys, we'd get together and we did a lot of sledding adventures. Did anybody grow up in the snow like that? Okay. Yeah, you got your hill, you got gravity, you got your sled. You make your trail. Your father shows you how to make the trail. You don't walk up the trail. That puts boot marks in the trail. And it creates friction. It slows you down. Or it turns you. So you show your kids how to, make the trail on the side, how to do that. And as kids, we would always push it to the limit, boys. We would, if we extend the trail, we're not going fast enough. If we extend the trail up into the woods and we create high banking turns, then we're going to be coming out of the woods really fast, and then we're going to have a lot of speed to hit this ramp that we built. And why not make the ramp 3 times as big as it is? Why not? We got snow. It's right here. Because we want to see how high we can go. We want to see how fast we can go. The snow is soft. We got this. See, we think things through somewhat. In the idea of achieving the ultimate thrill or maximizing the experience. That's what a father does. And it's absurd at times. Well, why don't we take this road? This road is a straight line to our destination, but why don't we take this road and look at some stuff we haven't looked at before? We don't know what's down that road. Dad's going to go down that road, and it's okay. But Dad chooses to turn onto that road knowing that whatever comes his way, he's going to be able to navigate it. He's got the tools inside. But most of all, the thing he has inside is his love for his family, his love for those who are with him. He's going to see them through it. He's going to be there for them. He's got his tools. He's got his physical tools, the tools he carries around in his car all the time. But he's also got his spiritual tools, the tools to remain composed when the tire goes flat on the back road, the tools to realize I can walk and get gas if I need to. I have the energy, I have the money, I have these things. And we, as fathers, we know that we have those tools. And so we choose to do idiotic things sometimes. A father is like the head of a meeting where we have the grand idea. This is our destination, this is our goal. How do we get there? No idea is bad, except the idea that counters achieving our goal. A father wants a panel of yes men around him. Not saying we can't do that or why are we doing this? A father doesn't want to hear why are we doing this? Because we can. A father wants to hear ideas to help him navigate the situation and get to the destination. Everything starts as an idea. It takes us back to this idea. Everything starts as an idea. Everything. That chair, this podium, the piano. Everything started as an idea. Isn't that amazing to think about? To look around and realize that everything was co-created. First in thought and then created in reality. Doesn't that blow your minds? How can we not believe in creation? We have created this place. And we create our world by the thoughts we hold in our minds. That's why it's hard to take a father out of the idea of achieving something once he's decided to, because he has such a tenacity to him, such a motivation, such hope, such will to achieve something, that it's hard to distract him from that. Very linearly thinking, but also creatively thinking, as long as the goal is achieved. A father's imagination can be frustrating. It can be frustrating for those dealing with it, but it's frustrating. I know for me, sometimes it's frustrating as a father when I have these ideas or these ambitions or these experiences and this wisdom that I want to share, and it's met with skepticism, and it's met with, I would say, innocent naivety. My son, a lot of the times, he doesn't understand. He hasn't experienced the experience I've experienced. So he doesn't know that it's okay to take your skis off of the groomed trail and ski on the powder. He just sees it as hard and why. But I know that he is going to enjoy that so much once he gets it, that I urge him to go into the powder and ski. And it's hard, and I have to guide him, and I have to motivate him, and I have to deal with the tantrums, and I have to be willing to understand that he might kick off his skis and want to walk out of this. And that's all okay. But I'm still going to share the experience because I believe in it. We have a database of experiences, of wisdom. We have abilities to create as fathers. As fathers, it's adulthood. We have our tools. We have our resources. We have friends to help us co-create. We're able to hire people, to create the home that we want to live in. We're able to call upon our friends to help us in times of need. But we just cannot forget that we can always call upon Spirit, that prayer is always there. It's always ready for us, no matter who we are. The first thing my son wrote on this little thing here, I don't know if you all got to see this, but it's fine. You can check it out later. It says, "My dad is funny. My dad is kind, hardworking, strong, handy, and loving." That made me feel really good. We have to be funny as fathers. Fathers are goofballs. We have to be funny. It's like Oscar Wilde said, if you're going to share truth with people, you better make them laugh or else they'll kill you. It's very true. And I'm going to come back to that a little bit. I can remember growing up, we always did a vacation to northern Minnesota. It was a family vacation. And it always stressed my dad out, but he always took care of it, and he always made it all happen. And I'm very proud of him for that. I'm very grateful to him for that, looking back on it. But what the ultimate goal was to have a cabin on the lake. So my mom and him looked for that for years and years and years. And it's interesting with divine timing. They had several instances to purchase something that they thought they wanted, and it fell through a couple times. And it was devastating to them. That was their dream, and they had to keep waiting for the right moment, for the right alignment of this dream to come true. And I'll never forget when my parents finally purchased this cabin. This cabin was probably built in like 1916 or something. It was a little rundown shack, basically. And my My brother and I meet him up, we were adults at the time, and my brother and I meet him up there, meet my dad up there, and he says, well, what do you think? And I kid you not, the first words out of my mouth was, you got a match? Can we burn this thing down? Like, this thing is a shack. And I didn't see it. I didn't see the potential, but I wasn't my dad. I hadn't built houses. I didn't have the resources my dad had. I didn't have the vision that he had. And he turned that little cabin, he had to keep a certain part of it because of the county. The county made you keep a certain part of the original structure. And he turned that into a little idyllic place where now they enjoy going up and fishing, and they enjoy my son and me visiting, and they enjoy hosting friends and family members and taking them out fishing. That's their passion. That's what they love to do. And that was the goal. That was the vision. That was the dream. That was the grand idea. And my dad and my mom, but my dad with the building and the renovation, figured out a way to make that come alive for them, for all of us. And that's a powerful thing as a co-creator. And you have that power. So I want you to just think about something. Think about a big idea that you have. Maybe it's something for this next week. Maybe it's something for this next year. Maybe it's something that you've wanted for years, that you're working towards. What's your big idea? What's your co-creation that you're actively working on and putting energy into? Maybe it's something you've set aside because you had responsibilities. And now, see that big idea and take some time this week and sit down and just ask God, how do I do this? What's the next step? Believe me, I've had to do that pretty much week in and week out with this chiropractic adventure. I often talk with my friends that I'm going to school with, like, I'm going to look back on this and be like, John, you were insane. But it's going to be worth it. And that's how a father feels. It's going to be worth it. Sometimes all a father has left is crazy. How many of you have seen the movie National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase? You've probably seen the Christmas Vacation one, but the original one from 1983 is amazing. All he wants to do is take his family from Chicago to California on this cross-country road trip, see all these different sites, and go to this, what is it, Wally World? Wally World. That's all he wants to do. That's his dream. That's his vision. Because he loves his country, he wants to show the kids all the country, and he wants to give them that. He wants to provide that as a father. And it does not go well. The whole trip is just wrought with, and he finally loses it. The universe keeps just knocking it down, and he finally loses it. And he just says, this is no longer a trip, this is a quest. It's a quest for fun. And he gets that crazy look in his eye, and he goes and the Wally World is closed, and he holds the poor John Candy's character, the security guard there, he holds him hostage and makes him take his family on the rides. Like, that's what he needs to happen. He promised his family it's going to happen. And I'm not suggesting you go out and break the law for your family. But I'm trying to help you understand that co-creator spirit that lives inside of you. Sometimes all we have left is crazy, and I just want to break that down. Let go of what you think of crazy. Crazy simply means it's never been done that way before. It's unique. You are a unique expression of God in this place and time. And what your goal is has never been achieved by you in this time. So there's no rule book on it. Just like becoming a father. There's no rule book on how I raise my son. I have to navigate it day by day. Doesn't mean I can't ask God for help. God lives in all of you, so I ask you for help. But sometimes I just get quiet and I say, Spirit, divine love, help me figure this out. Show me the way. I just don't have the answer right now. I need something. And the law of attraction will work for you and pull you through it. And it's a beautiful thing. That's a funny movie. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a good summer movie too. And, thinking about the idea of being a father, the idea of sharing wisdom, and bringing big ideas to maybe people who haven't experienced what you've experienced. I think about Jesus, the Christ, and what he did. He was like the ultimate father. And I was thinking about this the other day, and it makes me almost break down and cry how beautiful it is that he came and all he did was give unto him of himself and share and teach and say, hey, look, this is not all it is. There's more. And that's what a father does. A father inspires and motivates, and a father selflessly gives of himself and shows the way. And I was thinking about this the other day, and this is just where my mind goes with imagination. I was thinking of a story I know called The Valley of the Blind. Have you ever heard this story? Stu has probably told this story because this is kind of a story that chiropractors use. Anyways, a man is climbing in the mountains and he falls and he gets hurt and he falls into this valley of the blind. Everybody there is blind and he is not. He's injured. They nurse him back to health. And he figures, in the valley of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. He's got two good eyes. So he's like, I can be a king here. Doesn't work out that way. He is an other to them. They will not be his. He must become them. So they say, you can stay here, but you got to put your eyes out and be blind with us. And at the end of the day, he chooses to keep his vision and hikes out. And I was thinking about this in terms of Jesus. Jesus' consciousness came here. And was earth his valley of the blind? In certain ways, I think yes. But he persisted. And who's to say that, I feel like, this is just my own ideas around this. You don't have to take this as gospel or anything. I feel like we all come here, our consciousness comes here, and our souls have imprinted memories and imprinted wisdom, and that there is a divine intelligence that underlies all of this. And who's to say that Jesus was the consciousness that came at that time, and his consciousness brought with him what he had already experienced? Who's to say that he didn't come from the ether here and bring all that wisdom with him? And all he wanted to do was share that, saying, hey, look, there's a world outside of this. There's life beyond this. There's a grandfather that loves you and is with you in all things. And that was his message. And when it came down to it, he paid the ultimate sacrifice. He said, this is my goal. Like a father, he said, this is my grand idea that I need these people to understand, to experience. And so they want to kill me. That'll show them. And that was his choice. And that was just an idea that I had. And I was just like, okay. And, thinking about that sacrifice is, It was pretty powerful. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end of, A New Hope. You can strike me down, Darth, but I will rise back and be more powerful than you can ever imagine. So, end of the day, trust your intuition. Your intuition is your radio with spirit, with the divine intelligence, what you've brought with you. Trust your intuition. Your intuition is showing you the way. Maybe not a way that's already been done. Maybe it's a brand new way for a brand new idea, for a brand new person. And actively co-create your grand ideas, your visions, your shared experiences, your core memories. And don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. That's what a good father does. You don't have to be a father to do it. Thank you, guys. I love you.